Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire, a podcast where therapists give their real opinions on mental health, relationships, parenting, and pop culture. Hosted by Courtney Laver, licensed clinical social worker, and Jess Miller, art therapist. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and cannot be used as a substitute for therapy. We cannot provide mental health services via this podcast or social media. We occasionally use explicit language in our podcast and discuss serious mental health and relationship issues. Please use discretion if you are listening with children. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire. Hi. I will be the main yapper for today. I need to come up with something funny for when we take turns, but I'm going to be it today. But how are you doing?
I'm all right. It's cooling down outside, so that's nice.
Yes, I actually turned my heat on.
Wow.
Because I woke up this morning and it was 63 degrees in our house. I was like, that's a little too cold for me.
Yeah, I tough it out because I like that little window of fall where I'm like, I'm just not going to have anything on and I'm going to save so much money.
Right. Yeah, I felt the same way, but when I got up and the floor was ice and the cats were like all over me because they were cold, it's like, okay, we should turn the heat on
that's
today.
probably fair. Yeah.
At least until, it gets a little warmer out in the middle of the day, and then I can turn it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that's a little too much for me.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Weird time of year, I guess, because I work with a lot of kids and in a school. So there's like a lot going on right now.
Oh, okay.
at the schools and stuff. So it's just like fall break, everyone comes back, and it's like we have to redo the beginning of school again every time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Every time.
We forgot everything.
Yeah, we forgot everything, or like, we forgot everything. We forgot how to like be nice to people, and
Yep.
a lot of teen drama that happens over fall break and then carries over into school. So it's like, oh, yeah. Yep. And it's just gonna happen again. Thanksgiving and the winter, but it's fine.
Yep.
We know it's gonna happen, so it's not that bad. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about pop psychology today.
Okay.
And therapy speak. Our guest we had, we kind of like talked about it a little bit in terms of like TikTok specific and like social media specific. But I wanted to talk more about therapy speak and why it's not good and why people should maybe not do it so much or at all. And then kind of like go through some pop psychology, some like commonly misused therapy speak terminology, and how it's misused, why it's misused, what does it actually mean, and why it's harmful.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of stuff that I was seeing was it's like, this is why people use the word trauma too much. This is what trauma actually means. The end.
Right.
It's like, well, we need more context. Like, why are people using the word trauma all the time? And
yeah, good point.
how do we tell them to stop? I mean, you can't just tell people to stop without giving them good, valid reasons to stop. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today.
Cool.
What are some of the most commonly misused like therapy terms that you hear or see?
Narcissist, boundaries, trauma, and like gaslighting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I should have done boundaries, but I want to do a whole other episode about boundaries. So I didn't put that on my list, but those are all on my list.
Yeah.
Those other ones. I hear codependent a lot.
Oh, yeah.
With teenagers, talking about friendships and romantic partners. But mostly like codependent being used with their friends, which is interesting. I hear like people say, oh, she's so bipolar and da-da-da. That's not happening as much as it used to. Like when we were teenagers, it was all the time, I feel like. But now it's more like people are using bipolar and they're saying like, oh, I think she needs to go to therapy because she's so bipolar. So it's changed a little bit, but it's still not correct.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff we're going to talk about.
Okay.
First of all, though, I want to talk about therapy speak and what that is. Because therapy speak is people misusing therapy terminology, basically. So incorrect use of terminology, frequently used in terms of psychotherapy and mental health. It tends to be when people use terminology incorrectly, they're using it in a sentence and they're being like prescriptive about it. They're trying to be clinical.
Yeah.
And it's usually repeating things that they see or hear from other sources, not necessarily from like their own therapeutic work. So people are just repeating stuff they hear on TikTok and from other people. Wikipedia puts therapy speak like in a similar realm with psychobabble.
Okay.
And buzzwords. So just like things people are talking about all the time. Like hot topic, trending, whatever, mental health terminology. Typically it's damaging to, because the people who are using therapy speak are talking about other people. And it's damaging to that other person, not necessarily to the person using the language. So that can look or sound in many different ways, but typically it's weaponized therapy speak.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about people who are like genuinely curious or they're thinking more in terms of like their own therapeutic process. They're talking about other people and they're using the language to further those other people.
Okay.
So it can be cutting someone off with no explanation or communication and claiming that you're setting a boundary. Diagnosing other people's emotions in order to like silence or discredit their experience. Like that's just your avoidant attachment issues talking.
Yes. Yeah.
Which that comes up a lot with people talking about like their partners and relationships. It could be saying to someone, you have a lot of healing to do as like a comeback within an argument. Again, trying to silence that person, trying to like put them down, basically. Telling someone that they need to get help or they should see a therapist as like an insult. So you're not telling them like, hey, I know you're going through a lot and have you thought about going to therapy? They're saying, oh, you're fucked up. You need to go to see a therapist.
Right. Yeah.
You're fucked up. Not nice. Labeling disagreements, every disagreement as gaslighting is not. And labeling every behavior that you dislike with some kind of mental health garbage. Not garbage, but term. Calling someone a narcissist for having high self-esteem or because you just can't get along with them. Claiming that something triggered you in order to, like something someone else has said or done and claiming that they triggered you as a way to get them to like change their behavior or silence them or discredit them yet again.
That one is frustrating.
That one's super frustrating because it's like, it's not coming from a healthy place. Therefore, it is not a healthy, like, coping skill.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have things to say about that.
Yeah. I don't like it. Armchair diagnosing everyone you meet, or not necessarily everyone you meet, but specifically people that you don't like or you find unpleasant or like weird in a way that you don't like. And saying, oh, they must be like blah blah blah. They must be bipolar or something.
Yeah, you're not talking about another person with empathy. You're pathologizing them.
Yeah, and like I like the distinction that it's you don't like that person, and so you're like the reason I don't like them is because they probably have blah blah blah.
Right.
Not we just don't get along and that's fine. Like, people can't accept that as a fact, so they pathologize it.
Yeah,
instead.
something must be wrong with you.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would like you.
And then we're stigmatizing that terminology by doing it in that way.
Yep.
It's so frustrating. And I loved this. I found this from an Instagram page called I Go to Therapy. They're fantastic. They take like big chunks of information and break it down so it's really easy to understand.
Okay.
And I got a lot of stuff from them. But I love this. Using accusatory psychology word salad instead of being emotionally vulnerable and describing your actual experiences.
Yeah.
But I loved that accusatory psychology word salad because that's literally what people are doing. They are trying to sound clinical with zero clinical experience on their own.
Right.
Just shit they've heard on the internet. And they're just word salading it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be the joke of like you took Psych 101 your freshman year of college and you are talking about it all the time like you're an expert.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. But now instead of it being you took Psych 101 in college, it's you saw something on the internet.
For 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You watched a 10-second TikTok from someone that you don't know.
Right. and now you're calling yourself a life coach.
Yeah. Oh boy. I think everyone who watches and listens knows how we feel about life coaches. We don't need to get into it. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, but yeah. And then kind of like another example of someone saying, you're so codependent, it's triggering me and I need to set boundaries.
Right.
That's a perfect...
That's such a...
word salad.
So many words in there.
Yeah.
You're so codependent, you're triggering me, and I need to set a boundary.
Yeah. So we've got 3 very big, very popular clinical terms that people like to use. But in this sentence, it's not okay.
Yeah. Did they follow it up with, our season of friendship has come to an end? Do you remember that TikTok?
Yeah,
that was going around.
I like... it's satirical, right? Like that.
No,
it's not.
No,
I thought
she was like a therapist who was like trying to say like, how do you end a friendship kindly? And it was like, our season of friendship has come to an end. It's not you. I just need to. I don't even remember. It was some bullshit where it was like not specific at all.
Oh, I thought it was a joke. I didn't realize that she was genuinely saying that as like a thing you can say.
If it was a joke, I missed it.
I just assumed because it was so like cringy and gross.
Yeah.
That it was a joke.
Yeah.
I've noticed you've been withdrawn and haven't wanted to hang out recently. What's going on? I've treasured our season of friendship, but we're moving in different directions in life. I don't have the capacity to invest in our friendship any longer. Is it something I did? This feels really sudden. I get that it might be hard to understand, but I've been reevaluating many areas of my life recently, including my ability to be a good friend to you. I just want to be honest and upfront so I don't disappoint your expectations. I'm sorry if this feels painful and confusing. I wish you all love and success.
I'm normally into hippy dippy shit, but that's a little
like if we were ever friends, don't talk to me like I'm your employer.
Yeah. It does sound like your boss. Like it sounds like when those like Zoom call termination meetings.
Yes, let's circle back to this later. Like
okay. I'd be like, okay, bitch, just talk to me like you're my friend. Why are you talking like a freaking weirdo?
Exactly.
Okay. So, what is really going on when people use therapy speak? Why do they do it? So, there's a lot of reasons, but these seem to be the main motivators for therapy speak. So, people will use therapy speak because it makes them and their experience and emotions sound superior to others, or more important than others. So, it's like comparing traumas.
Right.
Thing that people talk
in
about.
elementary school when you used to talk about whose life is worst.
Right. I never participated in that because I was just like, this is dumb.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I
but
also
I heard
like
people.
I was like, yeah, your life's worse than mine. Sorry, man.
Like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, I can't top that, my dude. Also, why are you so mad telling me about it? I didn't ask you for this information. People may be motivated to use therapy speak to win an argument they're having with someone, or prevent people from questioning why the person using therapy speak, why they have some kind of issue.
Which is so funny because they are probably the people who are labeling people as narcissists when that behavior is a little bit narcissistic.
It's a narcissistic trait. It is. Therapy speak is sometimes used by deeply insecure people to mask discomfort, avoid conflict, create distance in a relationship so they don't have to address those issues. And so instead of saying things like, I don't want to be your friend anymore, they use therapy speak. Like that whole thing.
That makes sense. It's
I
like,
don't have the emotional capacity to be in a friendship with you right now.
yeah, it's like trying to like make it less awkward for them because it's a hard conversation.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, well, it's not because I don't like you. It's because I have all these things going on, or because you have all these things going on.
And the person using therapy speak to like say, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. They're not doing any kind of like self-reflection. They're just labeling.
Yeah.
And incorrectly labeling.
Yeah.
So no self-reflection. It sounds like it a little bit because they're using all the clinical words. So it sounds like, oh, maybe they've like done some work on it with a therapist maybe, but they're not. It's wrong. They're doing it wrong. It can be used as a defense mechanism, put emotional distance between them, their own feelings, and whatever situation that they're in. People can use therapy speak to cover up their tendency to be controlling and manipulative.
Okay.
So, yeah. Some people may find that their needs are more likely met when they use therapy speak. So, like, they use an example of, like, I was traumatized by getting stuck in this traffic jam this morning. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I'm stressed because traffic made me late, which is what actually is going on.
Right.
But they're replacing stress with traumatized because that's a bigger word, bigger meaning. Weaponized therapy speak uses accusatory language to imply that you know better than the other person, and that the other person is broken or fucked up in some way. Actual uses are best discussed with authentic vulnerability, and people are not doing that.
It's scary.
It is. It's scary to be vulnerable, especially if it's a hard topic like, I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Right.
That's hard. Breaking up with a friend is hard.
Taking accountability for your own actions is hard.
And people would rather not. And they're using therapy jargon to distance themselves and to also manipulate the situation so that they don't look bad.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, too, it could be like a genuine misunderstanding.
Yes.
Like when you first go to therapy and like you get some answers about like why you are the way you are, it can be like so validating that you take it and you run a little bit too far with it instead of like, okay, what do I do with this now? You're like, oh my gosh, I have an excuse. And it's like, nope, hold on. Like,
yes, because some people like, they'll go to therapy and they get whatever diagnosis or they get some kind of specific treatment. And so they have that clinical language that they can use. And then they just start like armchair assessing, psychoanalyzing everyone around them.
Yeah.
Because they're learning more about themselves. And now they're like, oh, I see it everywhere now.
yeah.
And it's not that you're seeing it everywhere. So you think it's everywhere. But that's not what's actually happening. You're just noticing other things that are congruent with your experience.
Right.
You're just
doing in the
work.
front of your mind now.
Yeah.
So you see it more often. It's like when you buy a new car and then you see that car everywhere. It's like there's not more of them. You're just seeing them more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like I think about in grad school, like when we were taking the differential diagnoses classes and like how to diagnose people, as you go through the DSM, you're like, do I have this? Do I have this? Maybe I have this.
Oh my God, my sister's got that and my mom's got that.
I think my dad has this one. You start, you're in a how to diagnose people class. So you start diagnosing people.
Yeah.
You're not actually diagnosing people and they're not correct, the diagnoses that you suspect, but it's just what's in front of your brain all the time.
Yeah.
So you're going to do it all the time. It's specifically when people are using therapy speak and jargon for like bad reasons, basically.
Yeah, I
Or
think,
selfish reasons.
I think it can go either way, but like weaponized therapy speak
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So some examples of like what therapy speak sounds like and what might actually be going on. Someone saying, "You're toxic and triggering my nervous system." Got three big things. What could actually be going on? "I got defensive because I felt criticized during this conversation we're having." "I'm not your therapist and it's not my job to hold space for your trauma dumping." That could be instead something very different.
Yeah, trauma dumping is another one that people really, really say a lot. And it's like, it's kind of a nuanced term.
Yeah,
It's a little hard to define.
There's definitely some like pop psychology terminology that people use that like is not even clinical. It just sounds clinical, like trauma dumping.
Yeah.
And like trauma bonding is something I hear a lot too. That's very
That's often
misused.
misused. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's really badly misused.
Yeah. When I was looking for Reddit posts to share with you for this topic, I saw one that was posted by a therapist about trauma bonding. And then in the comments, people were like, "That's not trauma bonding. This is trauma bonding." So even among therapists, the definition was getting muddy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. But the person saying, "I'm not your therapist. It's not my job to hold space for your trauma dumping." What they actually probably should have said is, "I love you, but I'm really overwhelmed with helping you with this. Have you maybe considered seeing a therapist?"
Right.
So
Yeah.
just rephrasing it differently, basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
could make it.
Because that's a you problem. If like, it's okay if you don't have the capacity to hear all that emotional stuff, but like, you
Right.
don't have to turn it into like, you're wrong for telling your friend about this.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not here to hold space for your trauma dumping. What the fuck? That's how I would respond to that one. What you're doing is toxic and narcissistic. That most likely means, "I actually feel uncomfortable when you do and say that thing."
Yeah.
Which is fine. People are going to do and say things that make you feel a little uncomfortable or you just don't like.
Yeah. Newsflash. People aren't perfect. They're
Right.
going to say things that aren't.
People aren't perfect and people don't think the same way you do. And therefore, they're going to say stuff that you would never say. And if it's something like truly aggressive, like racist or something like that, sure, let's have a conversation.
Right.
But if it's, I don't know, I can't even think of something, but something that you just don't like, it's not narcissistic for them to talk about it.
No.
Like, you just don't like what they're saying. You cannot control that other person and what they're going to say.
Yeah.
We got to let go of some of that control issues, people. They were totally trying to gaslight and manipulate me into agreeing with them. What's actually going on? We disagreed about something that's important, and I thought the way you argued with me was aggravating.
Yeah. Not every argument is gaslighting.
Someone disagreeing with you is not them gaslighting you. Facts.
Yeah, we will define gaslighting.
Yes, we are doing that today. You're always, this was a weird one because I'd not heard this term before. "You're always breadcrumbing me because of your avoidant attachment issues. You need therapy."
Oh, breadcrumbing.
I didn't look it up because it sounds like it's related to like some couples therapy stuff.
The lady that was in love with her psychiatrist on TikTok, she used that a lot in her story. That anytime she got some sort of inkling that he was hinting that he liked her, it was a breadcrumb.
Interesting. Okay. "You're always breadcrumbing me because of your avoidant attachment issues. You need therapy."
Yeah.
That could be coming from a place of you avoid conflict or you get really distant whenever conflict comes up. Why do you do that? Like,
Why?
Yeah. Another little quote from I Go to Therapy on Instagram Psychology terms are helpful in the therapy room and for self-understanding. They're not a stick to beat others with. Sometimes people act in ways that you dislike. Sometimes talking about it helps, and sometimes boundaries and distance are the answer. But pathologizing all human behavior that you dislike will not fix your relationships. Facts. Facts. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about some therapy terminology, mental health terminology that I hear a bunch and that is misused.
Yes.
So first up is triggered or triggering. That one bothers me quite a lot. I don't know if it's the most, but
even the therapy community is trying to move away from the word triggered.
Yes, I don't say triggered or triggering in sessions. If a client brings something up that is triggering and they talk about it, I don't use that terminology with them. We just talk about the thing that came up because that's what's important.
Right.
I don't think it's important to label everything as a trigger.
Yeah.
Especially because people keep misusing it.
Yeah. I like to specify if something is a trauma reminder.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it feels more specific to their experience and it doesn't use a word that in itself could be triggering.
Right. And it's become a very loaded word. And so I don't use it with my clients.
I try really hard not to. Sometimes it's hard.
If they bring it up first, we might use that label until we can find a different way to talk about it.
Yeah. But if it's not a trauma reminder, then it could just be a stressor.
Yes. And that's kind of what I like kind of practicing that reframing thoughts of, is this a trauma reminder? Is this something from trauma? Or is this just something that's stressing me out?
Yeah.
Reframing thoughts that not everything that makes you upset is a trigger. And there's those two things.
Yeah.
It could be those two things.
Yeah.
It could just be a stressor or something you just don't like, or it's something that is directly related to your trauma.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, people misuse triggered to mean something that makes them feel uncomfortable, upset, or annoyed. People may use it to describe like a normal emotional reaction that is just like an emotion they don't like feeling, being like upset, sad, angry, scared, all that stuff. And like sometimes people will use triggered as like a reaction to a negative experience that's just like temporary. Being upset can lead to being defensive, irritated, withdrawn, but it does not cause severe mental health issues or response.
It doesn't always. Yeah.
So what does trigger or triggering actually mean? It's experiencing an intense mental health response to some kind of stimulus or trauma reminder. A strong reaction to something linked to a traumatic event can cause intense emotional or physical responses like a panic attack or compulsive behavior, flashbacks. It's often overwhelming and hard to control, so it will impact your daily life, something that just pops up. And typically, someone who truly is triggered because of trauma will require professional support and coping skills for working through those.
Yes.
Everyone gets upset, but being triggered is an involuntary mental health response, it's a response to something related to their trauma, not just because they're uncomfortable or don't like something.
Yes. And it's important that if your triggers are truly a trauma response, for you to work through how to cope when those things come up, because sometimes you can't avoid them. And it's not a brand new person's responsibility to know what your triggers are and avoid them when they don't know what you've been through.
Yes.
So you need to learn how to cope with things that come up unexpectedly, because a smell could be or a sound or a song could be a trigger or trauma reminder and make you feel like you're back in that time when the trauma happened. And unless you're really close with somebody who knows that and can help you ground and get through it, like, unfortunately, you have to have the skills yourself.
Right.
And if it's something, if it's a boundary that you need to set, like with a partner, like when you touch me here, it is a trauma reminder, please don't touch me there, then that's a boundary you can set. And if they don't respect it, then that's something you need to, talk to them about or, break up with them or whatever. But for the most part, when people say you're triggering me, either you're just making them feel uncomfortable or it's a trauma reminder that, like, they're not responsible for, unfortunately. And, like, it sucks because you're uncomfortable, but, like, that's on you.
Like, yeah. And I think that's part of the, like, misuse and misconception about the word trigger and triggering is that it's putting it on someone else.
Yeah.
Like saying you are triggering me. And it's like, no, the thing, the sound, the smell, the whatever is triggering you. It's just associated with that person because of the perfume they're wearing or whatever.
Right.
But they're not, it's like they're not doing it on purpose to trigger you.
Yeah. Criticism can be a trigger if you grew up in an abusive household where your parents were triggering you or were criticizing you all the time. And then when you receive criticism at work, you might feel similarly as you did as a child. But it's your boss's job to give you criticism. Right. And maybe you can talk to them about, like, the best way to give criticism, but it's not your boss's job to be your therapist.
Yeah.
And speak to you differently if they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And that's, like, a huge part of the therapy speak being something that people need to stop doing is because they're just putting so much of it on the others. They're not taking any accountability for their own, like, feelings, emotions, and behaviors.
Yeah.
They're putting it on others. And it's like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And it's not realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff's going to happen.
And it's not okay if somebody knows that you have a certain trauma and they're, like, trying to trigger you. Like these fucking people out here who are just, like, calling people by the wrong pronouns even though they know what their pronouns are. Like, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
And they should not do that. Like, that's on them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, like, if you have, like, systemic trauma, like generational trauma or something, like the people are purposefully trying to make you feel bad. Yeah, that's on them.
Yeah.
But in the general sense of how people are using the word triggered, usually it's you have to learn how to cope with things because the world is not going to revolve around serving what you need to make you comfortable.
Yes.
Everybody's uncomfortable.
Yes. Everyone is uncomfortable a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, triggering, that is a hot topic word. Trauma is another word that people misuse. Usually people use trauma to describe, it's kind of like triggering, to describe anything that makes them uncomfortable or an unpleasant experience. I hated roller coasters as a kid. It traumatized me. I've heard, like, some boomery aged adults say that all childhoods are traumatic. I had to,
And I'm so sorry that you think that.
no, I'm like, dang, bro. I mean, everyone in childhood had to do things they didn't want or have experiences that were unpleasant. But that's just being a human.
Yeah. That's just
not
learning
childhood.
things. Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, maybe boomers' childhoods were all traumatic.
I mean, yeah, maybe they were generally like, yeah, everybody I know got beat by their parents. And that's just life. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That sucks.
That sucks.
Sorry, bro. This is something I've heard from parents is saying I had to have an unpleasant conversation with my teenager and it was traumatic.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm like, what if I hear that? I'm like, traumatic for who?
Yeah, good question. Traumatic for who? Because
Yeah.
if you're saying it was traumatic for your kid, are you saying that you traumatized them?
Right. That's what I'm like. So you're saying it was traumatic for your kid. So you said things or spoke in a way that traumatized your kid.
Or you're blaming your kid and saying your kid traumatized you.
Right.
Which seems like you're the grown up.
Or just Because, yeah, like, I don't know, having a hard conversation with a teenager, especially if you're, like, blaming them for something they did, they're going to yell at, they're going to talk back and yell at you
They're
or
going to
whatever.
get defensive, yeah.
But, like, that's not traumatic. That's just unpleasant. And that's something that you can just work on and, like, rephrase how you confront your kid about failing class or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not traumatic. It's dramatic. I will say that.
It's dramatic.
Anything with a teenager is often dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So what does trauma actually mean? This is definitely a clinical term. So the APA defines trauma as any disturbing experience that results in significant fear, helplessness, dissociation, confusion, or other disruptive feelings intense enough to have a long-lasting negative effect on the person's attitudes, behavior, and other aspects of functioning.
Yes.
It's a long run-on sentence, but yes.
Yeah. It's anything that is perceived as life-threatening and that you are in a vulnerable enough mental state that it affects you in a longer term than like a jump scare in a movie does.
Right. It's often like something that has to do with your bodily safety, your security, and is a longer term effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traumatic events include stuff like from human behavior, war, car accidents, stuff like that. And it could also be from natural events like earthquakes or tsunamis, things like that. And they can often challenge an individual's worldview as being a safe and just and predictable environment that they can live in.
Yeah.
So, there is some trauma therapists will use terminology of big T trauma and little t trauma. I don't really do that, but
yeah,
I understand it.
I go back and forth. I get it. And like, but I also think trauma should be respected as a long-term effect.
Mm-hmm.
And other things are not easier to work through necessarily, but like aren't as psychologically damaging.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's something that has had that big of an impact on someone where they're having all of these, you know, they're having flashbacks and panic attacks and they are having a hard time coping in their daily life, trauma is trauma.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's not big T, little t. It is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't work, like, explicitly with trauma. So, I mean, maybe within that, like, trauma therapist specifically using that distinction helps. I don't know. But I personally, it's like, if it is something that is traumatic and it is affecting you and is a problem for you and is long-term, then it's trauma.
Yeah, I think, I think as somebody who does frequently work with trauma, I feel like I don't like the distinction of big T, little t, because like if something happened to me that's like a core memory, like when I was in the spelling bee and I messed up the word and got out and it was really embarrassing and now I'm afraid of public speaking, like that's not trauma because my life wasn't threatened. It was a core memory and it led to all of these cognitive distortions about like my ability to speak in public and be perceived as competent or whatever. But it wasn't trauma because I didn't feel like, even though it's like the stress response is similar biologically because our bodies don't know the distinction between what's life-threatening and what's just stressful and scary.
Yeah.
It's not trauma.
Right. And I think, yeah, like I see a lot of things on TikTok where people talk about their anxiety and like, my body doesn't recognize that the difference between I'm trying to jog for health reasons, I'm not being chased by a bear.
Yeah.
But they're getting the same bodily response. But it's different when it's tied to that traumatic event.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. It feels very similar. Like having a panic attack, you literally feel like you're dying. I get those. I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But it's not tied to trauma.
Right.
It's just a thing that I picked up when I was a kid and am now working on undoing.
Right.
But I know that it's not because of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's an anxiety thing.
Yeah.
So it's distinctioning the differences is important.
Yeah. And it can get tricky because, like,
Yeah.
treating a fear of public speaking can be similar as how you would treat a trauma,
Yeah.
but they're different. And I don't want people to get them confused when trauma is such a big thing.
Right.
Not everybody has trauma.
Yes, exactly. Different types of trauma, just for people who don't know. Acute trauma, that's usually a one-time event, short duration, but it was traumatic. So like a car crash or being physically injured.
Dog bite.
Dog bite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sudden death of a loved one or a pet, some kind of medical emergency, stuff like that. It makes me think of like when I broke my collarbone, it was traumatic, acute trauma that was part of that event that broke my collarbone. And so I use that as like my example for like acute trauma. I got jerked really hard by the arm. I flew through the air, hit concrete, got road rash real bad. And my collarbone was sticking out.
Gross.
Yeah, super gross. Hurt really bad. And, I was like super careful with the left side of my body for a while. I still have like, what's it called? Atrophy. I have muscle atrophy because I still favor my left side. Like I was really nervous to be on concrete. I didn't want to run anymore, like stuff like that. But that was acute trauma. It was short duration. Got some help for it. Was pretty simple, easy process to recover from.
Yeah.
Chronic trauma is where harmful effects and events are repeated or it's prolonged over a long period of time. So this is usually like neglect issues, abuse issues, domestic
living
violence.
In a war zone.
Yeah, stuff like that. Because it's a repeated trauma and it's inescapable, chronic trauma is usually like one of the bigger mental health issues within like trauma treatment.
Yeah.
That's usually something that's like you need a lot of in-depth mental health support and therapy to work through it. I don't know what he's looking at, but he's
so funny.
Looking straight at the ceiling.
And it also depends on like where you're at, like developmentally and like what kind of resources you have. Like if you are a child, your brain is plastic, but it's still learning what the world is. So it's easier for trauma to affect you and kind of shape your worldview like, oh, the world's not safe because that's all you know.
Right.
And if you have the resources to immediately go and get therapy after an acute trauma happens, it's less likely to affect you years and years and years down the line.
Right.
Whereas if somebody was just like, you're fine, get over it. Like, that's probably gonna stick with you for a while.
Yeah. For sure will. Complex trauma that arises from experiencing repeated or multiple traumatic events that you can't escape from. So chronic trauma is like living in a war zone.
Right.
Complex trauma is like you were abused and neglected as a child and something else. Like it's multiple things.
Right. It's lots of different types of trauma throughout your life.
Yes. And that can be from living in a war zone.
Sure.
But usually it's the living in the war zone is the thing making everything happen to you.
Chronic trauma is almost like this is my norm.
Yeah, I'm used to living this way.
Yeah, and complex trauma can be like a bunch of acute traumas.
Yeah, like
that just keep
back.
Like, what is my life? Like,
and it's usually tied to childhood. Yeah, because that's a time in people's lives when they don't have as much autonomy, and therefore the acute trauma just keeps happening to them. Yeah, and it builds up over time. So that's complex trauma. So that's like CPTSD. That's what that is. Ooh. And then secondary or vicarious trauma. That's from being exposed to seeing other people's suffering, other people's trauma, like
Being a therapist.
being a therapist. I was going to say a doctor, but yeah, being a therapist, being a surgeon, or like a first responder. I've had clients who were first responders, and that's usually the thing. Like, we're working through the vicarious trauma of whatever happened from like a car accident.
Yeah, or like firefighters, and
it could be like journalists in Palestine.
True,
it could be stuff like that. So that's called secondary vicarious trauma. And with that, usually what's going on is that they're experiencing other people's trauma, other people's suffering, and it makes them become burnt out, basically. And they get compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
Which I see with like nurses and doctors so much, that compassion fatigue.
Foster parents.
Yeah. So then the compassion fatigue, they avoid emotional attachments. They avoid getting close to people. And they do that too because they want that distance so that they don't experience that secondhand trauma again. So, yeah, that one's interesting. So, trauma works in your brain. The disturbing event activates the amygdala, which is the little thing in the middle that goes like this. And again, it's kind of like the alarm system of your nervous system. So when you experience a traumatic event, what happens later on down the road is that it goes off and your body can't tell the difference between you're in danger versus you're just doing something that triggered your amygdala to do that, tied to the traumatic event. Your short-term fear response activates fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Which that's something we should probably do an episode about.
Sure.
Is those different episodes. But it's usually, it's in day-to-day life. So it's not being like re-exposed to a traumatic event. It's just a day-to-day life. Something triggers you. Long-term trauma may develop other emotional disturbances, anxiety, anger, guilt, dissociation, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. And over time, the amygdala becomes hyperactive and it goes off more and more and more. And some people are just in a constant state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yeah.
And that's not good. And then they go to therapy. Hopefully they do. I would hope they don't want to live that way for the rest of their life. And it can impact their daily life, but it can also impact like their self-esteem, their ability to work a job, their ability to be part of their family. It hits a lot of areas. So why is it bad to misuse the word trauma? Harmful. Why is it harmful? So when people overuse the word trauma, we're diluting the importance and the true meaning of trauma. And that kind of goes with any of these words. So yeah, that goes for all of these things. The more it's misused and heard and then continuing misused by other people, the less meaning it has. Yeah. Basically. So people using the word traumatic to refer to getting stuck in traffic or having a hard conversation with someone, it what did I write? Downgrades the seriousness of the actual trauma, of what actual trauma means.
Right.
So it makes it something that it's not anymore.
Yeah. And it kind of conditions, if you are someone who's using the word trauma for things that aren't traumatic, it almost like conditions you to feel like, oh, my life is like way harder than it actually might be. And like, how do I cope with all of, like, it's giving you like reasons to feel like I can't cope with things.
Yeah.
Because I just keep getting these traumas that keep happening to me.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like if someone keeps labeling every mishap in their life as a trauma and that's their worldview on their own life, that's going to seriously impact their mental health too.
Yeah.
They're going to like kind of trick themselves into thinking that they have a traumatic life and that it's out of their control. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of, I had a therapist who used the big T, little T, and when she explained it to me, I was like, okay, so I have like quite a few like little T traumas, so maybe that's why I like react these way to like things that give me anxiety. But now I'm like, I don't want to think of myself as somebody who's experienced trauma when I haven't had like a true trauma experience like my clients have. And maybe that's like a vicarious trauma reaction and I need to give myself more grace. But like,
it could be.
It feels like even if it's a little T trauma that I know was not life-threatening, I feel like it invalidates what actual trauma is. And like, makes me feel like it's harder to get over. And I don't want to set myself a bigger goal when anxiety is already hard to get over.
Yeah. And I think, it's that people have this desire to pathologize anything that's difficult. And it doesn't have to be. And I feel like most cases shouldn't be pathologized. It should just be, this thing is hard for you. Okay, let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's figure it out. We don't need to label it unless,
I mean, I guess it's case by case. Like if it helps you to think of it as trauma or a little T trauma or whatever, if that helps you in your recovery and in your building of your resilience and your coping skills, then cool. But if it's going to set you back and make you sit in it and be like, I am a traumatized person and this is just how I am, that's not helpful.
Like using it almost like an excuse almost.
Right.
Which it becomes very unhealthy at that point.
Right.
Like, this was a trauma for me and this is why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
You're not going to progress.
Yeah.
If you think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very case by case. Like, 100% of therapy is case by case. It depends. But yeah, the use of the word trauma is one of those, like, in the therapy community, therapists, we all have like a different approach to it. I don't know. It's interesting. Okay, so trauma bonding is one that I've heard a bunch with teenagers. Specifically, teenagers are using this a lot. People use the term trauma bonding to describe bonding with someone over trauma, and that is not what it means.
Right.
So people will say, like, trauma bonding is being used to describe bonding over a traumatic experience, feeling connected to someone because they understand your trauma, feeling connected to someone because they experience something similar, or you share details of a traumatic event with someone and now you have a trauma bond. That's how people are misusing it. That's not what it means though. Trauma bonding is a strong attachment between the abuser and then the person being abused.
Yeah.
So it's part of an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Dynamic.
Because it's also not you're bonding because you both went through the same trauma.
Correct.
Yeah. You were both in a building that was on fire and now you're close together because you get it and you both experienced that.
That's not
bonding.
A trauma.
Yeah, that's just a bond.
Yeah. That's just bonding. Trauma bonding is a bonding that is traumatic.
It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's Belle and the Beast kind of stuff. So it's a dynamic where someone develops positive feelings toward their abuser, such as sympathy or some sort of attachment caused by repeated cycles of devaluation, fear, intermittent kindness and affection. The nervous system associates survival with being near or around the abuser, and so it confuses the person being abused. And it makes it hard to leave.
Almost every child has a trauma bond with their abusive parent because they still provided you what you needed and would sometimes give you affection and love and support. So
Yep. That's a great example. Yeah, so trauma bonding is not the same thing as bonding over trauma. They're very, very different. And misusing the term makes it harder for survivors to discuss and like share their experiences because the way people are misusing it, it does not match the actual definition and their experience.
Yeah.
So then people are like, well, now I don't know how to talk about it.
yeah.
So true trauma bonding can look like someone feels like their relationship is harming them in some way, but the thought of leaving feels impossible. They're constantly justifying or downplaying the treatment they receive from the other person to themselves or to other people. They want to leave, but they feel like this person is the only one who will love, understand you, soothe you when you're upset. They experience cycles of good times paired with devastating abuse.
Mm-hmm.
They happen together. They'll feel like, or they're told that they'll be treated better if they were different in some way. And then when they change, the like expectation has also changed.
Mm-hmm.
So like even when the person changes the way that they think their abuser wants them to, the abuser's like, actually, no, I'm different now. I feel differently about it now.
Right. Or I found something else that you need to do.
Yeah. They're just constantly changing the goalpost of what's going to make them happy. So that's what trauma bonding means. OCD. People misusing OCD, which is a diagnosable disorder, but they're using it to mean other stuff. So people will use OCD to describe behavior like a preference for cleanliness, routines. Sometimes people use OCD to describe behavior where someone likes to have things like in a certain order. Or like
they're just like a type
orderly.
A personality. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Like I like to have I'm not about this with everything in my life, but usually I like things to be organized by color.
Sure.
Or by size. That's just my default of how I like to organize stuff.
I've got weird rules for myself sometimes because I have ADHD, but like
yes.
I don't have OCD.
No.
OCD is devastating.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
OCD is incorrectly used when describing occasional intrusive thoughts, which are then able to be ignored. I think that's a huge distinction.
Yeah.
Or impulsive thoughts about doing stuff that you might consider that's kind of like mundane, like shaving your head. I feel like that's not OCD, but some people say that's OCD.
It depends on what kind of
the purpose.
Yeah.
Usually like an intrusive thought is also something that people misuse. But if you have an impulsive thought of, I want to cut all my hair off, that's not an intrusive thought. That's just like an impulse or just like, oh, that's silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's silly brain. I'm not doing that.
Right.
You're fine. Sometimes people misuse OCD when someone likes to double check things. I always double check that I lock my door, that my dog is in her crate, and that the oven is off.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like I will sometimes forget to turn the oven off after I've cooked, and like, but it's not OCD. It's just
no, it's not OCD.
I have ADHD and I forget to do things.
Right.
So I check them.
I've gotten almost somewhere and had to turn around because I needed to check my door.
Yeah.
And that was probably a compulsion in a way, but like it's not OCD because I didn't do it 17 times and I wasn't late and
it's not a daily every single occurrence.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So like checking, like when I check to make sure my dog is in her crate before I leave, it's because one time I didn't lock her crate and she busted out and went through the trash.
Yeah.
So I had that experience where I forgot or I just didn't do it correctly. So now I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen again. OCD is like you have to check the door. You have to open and close the door X amount of times. You have to lock and unlock X amount of times every single time you go through that door.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And if
no
you
exceptions. The world will end.
yeah. someone will break into your house and murder everybody that you know, and
Yes.
your mom will drop dead, even though she lives in California. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Which is very different than, I just need to make sure my dog is actually locked up because she'll go through the trash if not.
Yeah.
Those are very
It
different
will be a
things.
minor inconvenience in my life. Yeah.
And she might be a little sicky for a day.
Right.
So like people say, oh, I'm OCD. I like to have my countertops clean before I go to bed.
Mhm.
Or like my mom is so picky about how she wants me to clean my room because she's OCD. That's just different standards of cleanliness.
Yeah.
Basically. And people assume that OCD just means someone's like a neat freak or a germaphobe. But it's not, like OCD compulsions don't even have to be about cleanliness.
No, they're all
or
sorts of
germs.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have a lot of OCD clients, so I'm gonna talk about that.
So it's really sad. Like I cannot imagine having actual OCD. I would,
It's intense. It's very intense. And it's very, there's very often a comorbidity with like autism or ADHD or anxiety or PTSD.
yeah. And it affects your whole life. Like you
Mhm.
can't function normally.
Mhm. Yeah, it's intense. So OCD is a mental health condition characterized by persistent unwanted thoughts, which are the obsessions, and repetitive behaviors or mental acts, which are the compulsions.
Mhm.
For someone with OCD, the obsessions and compulsions cause distress, anxiety, impact on their daily life, interferes with daily functioning.
Mhm.
It involves experiencing persistent distressing thoughts and images beyond one's control. Engaging in compulsions alleviates the anxiety caused by those intrusive thoughts. So it's what's it called? Reinforcing those thoughts and behaviors. It involves trying to reduce anxiety and distress to prevent bad things from happening. Lots of ritual, typically too, of like not just having to do the compulsion, but having to do it in a certain order, a certain number of times. If you're interrupted, you have to start over. Sometimes the rituals involve multiple compulsions that have to be done in a certain order at a certain time, a certain number. And if interrupted, you have to start the entire ritual over. So it's
And it doesn't
very
make
disruptive.
you feel better. When you're done checking the door, you go back to what you're doing, and then you're like, did I check the door?
Yeah.
And you have to do it. Like it doesn't make you feel better when you do the compulsion.
No. The intrusive thought brings about the compulsion, but completing the compulsion does not remove the fear, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn thing.
Yeah.
That still is there.
Yeah.
They're pretty much constantly in that state. And the intrusive thought is what initiates the compulsion. That's a tough one. That's definitely a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because, like, in pop culture, like, the first thing I think of is the TV show Monk,
Mm-hmm.
of, like, his character. And they, like, it's interesting because parts of that show, they're very accurate. And
Yeah.
it's like, this is a pretty good.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like, sometimes it's a really good representation of OCD. And then sometimes he's, like, infantilized
Mm-hmm.
in the show. And I hate that.
Yeah. Some of his stuff is more neurodivergent stuff. Like,
Yes.
I remember one specific episode where somebody like set their alarm and they liked it to be like, oh, I like to set my alarm for 8:12. And he was like, why? It needs to be like
A round number.
8:15.
Yeah.
It needs to be a specific. And I was like, I get it. But like,
Yeah.
but that's not OCD. Like,
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
When I turn up or down my TV volume, it has to be by increments of 5 and it has to be 10, 15, 20. That's, yeah.
me too. Drives my partner crazy.
Yeah. Also mine.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows.
You know what? They can get over it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my husband has, and he just knows that that's how I am. And sometimes he will do it like a 36 on purpose to mess with me. And I'm like, that's rude. But it's not
Divorce.
divorce. But it's not debilitating for me.
Right. It's not debilitating. It's not
It
the end of the world.
bothers me.
Right.
But I can just click it down and I'm okay.
Right. And like for the most part, like I can be like, it's gonna be fine. Like
Right. I don't have the compulsion that the world is going to end if the TV is at volume 36
Yeah.
for too long.
I'm not going to start an argument over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Unless
a
I'm in the mood.
preference.
Like,
Yeah. Maybe I'm in a mood for how you disrespect me, but usually no. I feel like pop culture, TV shows, characters, there's a lot of OCD attempts at OCD representation that are just incorrect and super wrong.
Yeah. I don't like representation of OCD being quirky because I'm just like, I feel so much empathy for people who have true OCD.
Yeah.
Their life is so hard.
Yeah, it is not like the people on TV.
Yeah.
And usually when I see a character on TV who's supposed to be OCD, I'm like, that feels autistic more
Yeah.
to me than OCD. So we're also misrepresenting autistic people.
And infantilizing most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just don't like
Okay,
it.
little
I
quirky kid, come over here. I'll give you your wet wipe. Like,
don't like
get
it.
out of here.
Don't like it at all. Man, I have a bunch more. So this might need to be a part 2.
We can do a part 2. Should we end with gaslighting?
Let's do gaslighting, yeah. Okay. Gaslighting. I hate this one. How it's misused. I think I hate it because to me, it feels so common sense of what it is and what it is not.
Yeah.
To me.
To you, yeah.
But not other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it bothers me so much. People misuse the term gaslighting all the time. It's usually in reference to they're talking to someone else and that other person like argues with them. Maybe they lie to them, or they try to convince you of XYZ, that you're wrong about something. You're incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
So this is some examples of it being misused is like if someone disagrees with someone else's version of a story, and then they just get accused of gaslighting.
Yes.
Because they disagree with your version of a story you're telling.
Yeah. It's like anytime you feel like you're not being validated,
Yeah.
you're being gaslit.
Yeah. Or like if someone doesn't remember something you said in the past, and like and then they get accused of gaslighting because they just don't remember what you said.
Right. It really assumes like malicious intentions of the other person.
Yes. Which it's not. Because my husband will tell me something and I'm like, sure, got it. It's usually about his work schedule. He'll be like, I have to go into work on this day at this time, just letting you know because it's different. I'm like, cool, got it. And then the day happens and he's like, I'm going to work. And I'm like, what?
You didn't tell me that.
You didn't tell me that. And he's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, you know what? That's accurate. You probably did. And I just forgot because if it's not written down on a physical piece of paper or on the refrigerator, it does not exist to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not gaslighting. That's
right.
Me not remembering, and that's okay.
Yeah. Technically, it would be gaslighting if he never told you and was like insisting that he did.
Right. But that's not what happens.
Right. But it would,
could.
and even then, it would only be gaslighting if he knew that he didn't tell you.
Yes.
Like if he truly thought,
if he
I
was
swear I told you.
If he was intentionally saying, oh, I swear I told you, when he knows he did not,
then it would technically be gaslighting.
Yes, that's technically gaslighting.
Yeah.
Or just like if someone disagrees with, if person B disagrees with person A will say that's gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're just disagreeing on something. It happens.
Right. And just because somebody's rude doesn't mean they're gaslighting.
Right. Like if someone's disagreeing with you and they're kind of mean about it, like that's just mean.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of rude, but it's not gaslighting.
Yeah.
What is gaslighting? I wrote a lot about this too.
Tell us.
Gaslighting is a subtle, complex, hidden form of psychological manipulation. Can be known as covert emotional abuse.
Okay.
Where a person or a group of people or an organization they will repeatedly target a person and make them question their own sanity, their own reality, perception of the truth, and their memories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very traumatic too for victims.
Yeah.
Because it's, like you said, usually malicious intent.
Yeah. True gaslighting, for the most part, unless you like really know a lot about it, you just feel like it just works. Like you just feel like, okay, maybe I am crazy and am doing something wrong. Like it's
like
very
brainwashing
manipulative.
someone.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So the term gaslight comes from a movie from 1944, which is called Gaslight, and it's about a man who convinces his wife that she's gone crazy. And he does this by dimming the torches outside, the gas lights outside their apartment. He dims them at night, and then he denies that they are dimmed. Like when she brings it up the next day, he's like, "No, you're going insane. The lights were on all night long. What are you talking about?" And then he keeps doing little things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like little things that alter her perception of her own reality, and so then she thinks she is going insane.
Wow.
Like legit insane, commits herself to
I
a
did not
hospital.
know that that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I want to watch that movie now.
Maybe we should do a watch party. I love it. It's it's a fucked up movie.
I mean,
but
it
it's
sounds
one of
fucked
my
up,
favorites. And I love that era of TV. Alfred Hitchcock. I love film noir. So like, yeah, I love those.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's gaslighting.
Yeah. And it's called that because of the movie.
Yeah.
That's why it's called that.
Cool.
So that's where it comes from, the term.
Yeah.
So why do people gaslight? So the purpose of gaslighting is to diminish the other person's sense of self and confidence, fuck with their own reality, so that they can be controlled and manipulated. Usually, and it's to make them dependent on the gaslighter.
Right, because they are the one who has the reality.
Yes.
So you have to rely on them to tell you what's actually true.
Right. Yeah. This usually involves behaviors like lying, shifting blame, telling like partial truths, which is fucked up, minimizing experiences, stuff like that. Real brainwashing stuff.
Yeah, if you feel like you're going crazy but if you're like truly being gaslit, you kind of need somebody else to like bounce that off of and be like, this is what this person is saying and this is how I feel. Like I feel like I'm going crazy. Like you have to process it with somebody because it's just so manipulative and abusive.
And in more extreme cases of abuse, the gaslighter, the person that is gaslighting someone, is also isolating that person from anyone who would challenge the gaslighter's reality that they're building for them. So they're isolated. So they have to depend on the gaslighter for everything.
Yeah.
Of like, so I can't call my neighbor Susan to check in and make sure the lights were dimmed or they were on all night.
Yeah.
He won't let me.
Right. There's other
But he
abuse
provides
going
a
on.
reason why, like the phone lines are down or something. Like it's that kind of shit. Oh yeah, now I gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah,
It's a
gotta
good
find it.
movie. Yeah. Over time, the abuser continually challenges the victim on their reality, and then the victim begins to question their reality and whether or not they're worthy of having like their needs being met because they're going crazy. So like all their other needs and priorities kind of fall to the wayside because they think they're going insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's like a big group, corporation, society who's all decided this is what we're going to tell people.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it's like you have multiple people saying the same thing that like I was pretty sure wasn't true, but now everybody's saying it.
Yeah. Organizational gaslighting is so fucked. And it harms so many people at once.
Yeah.
It's insane. And like it's not like it's not an antiquated thing. It's been going on and is still like people are still doing it now. We're seeing it on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. We're hearing about it all the time right now. of organizational gaslighting.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is very, very crazy. And eventually, victim may get worn down so much that they adopt the abuser's reality as their own. And then they become 100% dependent on them for everything. Anything they say goes. They become even more at risk for other types of abuse from
Yeah.
other
They lose
people.
the ability to trust their own instincts.
They have no more autonomy left.
Mhm.
So when people misuse the term gaslighting or being gaslit, it's kind of like misusing trauma. We're diluting what is actually going on when gaslighting occurs. We're minimizing it and also stigmatizing it at the same time too. Because people always use it or almost always use it in tandem with narcissist.
Yes.
And it's
Which,
not,
you know, if it's true gaslighting,
then there's
then
probably from a
then
narcissist.
they might be. Yeah. But
But most of the time when I hear people on TikTok say someone gaslit me or they're gaslighting you, it's not. It's not that. It's
Yeah.
not that girl.
and maybe they're lying. Maybe they're a jerk. But that doesn't mean they're gaslighting.
Right. So ignorance about what gaslighting means can lead to minimizing the victim's disclosure when they do realize what's going on. So like if someone who's being gaslit finally figures it out and they want to figure out how to solve it, how to get out of it, it's really hard to, because since people throw it around here, they're all willy-nilly, people might not believe them.
Mm-hmm.
It's reminds me of like the Me Too movement
Mm.
stuff of like, believe the victims. People aren't doing that as much anymore because
Mhm.
gaslight gets thrown around so much.
Yeah. And I do think, like, in general, as people, we are not great at communicating and having constructive arguments.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we have less capacity to feel invalidated.
Yeah.
So it's easy to kind of like take on a victim role and feel defensive and be like, well, you're not validating me and you're disagreeing with me and I don't like that. So you must be gaslighting me. And like, if you have only ever heard the term gaslighting incorrectly, like
you
don't
believe
know.
that to be true. Yeah.
Right. But like, yeah, I think people just need to learn how to communicate. And I think that'll be probably my next episode is about communication.
Good.
But yeah, it's not gaslighting.
Just communicate. Yeah. So, and gaslighting isn't just like between significant others, romantic partners. It can happen in any kind of relationship,
Mm-hmm.
be friendship, an organization, a religious organization. Accusing someone of gaslighting is also tricky because they not only are they altering someone else's reality, they're having to act like that is reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes they're like almost kind of gaslighting themselves. They're having to live a fake life,
Yeah.
pretty much. So part of it is like part of treating the issue is the person who was being gaslit, but also the person doing the gaslighting and figuring out like what the hell's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from? Usually it can be like a learned thing. Maybe they were like gaslit as a child. And so that's just how they like relate to people almost. It's not like a good guy, bad guy thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good behavior,
Right.
but it's also, you know, there is a person there and part of it is figuring out where that came from. And it might be because they're a narcissist. It might be because they were abused.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just, you know, generational abuse happens. So they're perpetuating it. That's all they know.
Right. They might be, scared that that's the only way they can keep this relationship is
Mhm.
if they trick this person into being with them.
Right.
But
Right. So
it's not healthy.
yeah, no, gaslighting is not good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the people who do it are pure evil, like should go to hell kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that also narcissist, that term narcissist, when people misuse it, it's usually because there's a person that they hate.
Right. They are not necessarily a pure evil person, even if they have narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah. That doesn't mean they're evil.
Mm-hmm.
They got problems too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my spiel for today.
Yay. What a episode.
Maybe for the other ones I've got on there, I'll just like at the end of an episode or something,
Yeah.
we can go over one or two of them.
Yeah. Do you want a couple Reddit posts before we go? One that I thought was interesting was this one. It was posted on r/autistic pride. It was posted a year ago, and they said, I apparently talk in therapy speak, and this annoys people for some reason. And then the post says, I just don't get it. I'm trying to communicate effectively instead of getting pissy with you for no reason and hurling insults like people always do in arguments. What's wrong with asking, what can we do to prevent this in the future and such? Would you prefer I call you a shithead and tell you to fuck off and ignore you for hours instead of just trying to resolve the issue calmly? And then they said, fucking neurotypicals getting fuming over effective communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that like I said before, is like gaslighting to me feels like such common sense.
Yeah.
That I don't understand how people misuse it. I think that's my neurodivergent brain being like, don't forget.
Yeah.
Your brain's different.
Yeah.
You're able to see things that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have lost the ability to communicate effectively and to like have disagreements with people.
Yeah.
But like when somebody is trying to sincerely have a disagreement where you're hearing both sides, they're like, oh, you're using therapy speak. It's like, no, I'm being intentional with my language.
Right. I'm trying really, like they said, I'm trying really hard not to call you a fucking asshole right now.
Right. I'm controlling myself.
Yes.
I have self-control and regulation strategies.
Yes. This is me regulating and controlling my language so that I can have this hard conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the hippy dippy, the season of our friendship has ended language. It's just the like.
Yeah. Yeah.
We literally have to talk like this or we get mad.
Yeah. Okay, and this person commented, once I was talking to a person where I needed to enforce a boundary. I followed a really specific protocol to make sure that I was being fair and appropriate, etc., which I teach people to do, and it's very helpful.
Effective.
The guide I used, for example, said to never say you statements, but instead only I statements.
Yep.
So anyway, this ended up with the person I spoke to screaming and crying because she didn't want me to have the boundary at all. As part of her screaming, she shouted, "You're being so selfish, only saying I feel and I think and never talking about me." If I had done things like you are blank, you're being blank, then she would have screamed at me that I was putting words in her mouth or completely wrong about my perception. You can't win with some people.
Yeah.
Especially people who had a goal to manipulate you and are upset that you aren't falling into the trap. I haven't spoken to this woman for over a year now, and it's been great. The closest, most lasting bonds in my life are with other autistic people who don't need to play social games or manipulate. Yeah, it's so tricky to be like, I'm trying to do what science says.
Yeah.
And it's not working.
And I think like with boundaries, I think that's something people expect that, okay, if I set this boundary with someone, they're going to be like, okay, and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, that's not going to be the case. They're going to push against that boundary. They're going to yell or cry or try to negotiate. They're not going to respect your boundary because they've been crossing that boundary for so long that it's been the norm. And so when you set it up for them, they didn't realize it was a problem or whatever, but they were gaining something from crossing your boundary.
Yeah.
So when you tell them no more, you're going to remove yourself. If they keep doing it, you're taking away their manipulation ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There were some people who were saying like that they felt like some people went to therapy and then developed weaponized therapy speak, which I think happens sometimes, but like we were talking about, like they feel validated and heard all of a sudden, and so they use that to be like, I was right all along, and I'm the victim, and like I live in fear that I am gonna cause somebody to like weaponize therapy speak because I like tell them like, yeah, you've experienced some trauma in your life, and they're like, great. I'm going to tell everybody. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, no. We have to do something about that now.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that's not what therapy's for.
No.
Yeah. And eventually you will be challenged. It's hard to do that in the very first session, but like people who are going to weaponize therapy will often just go to 1 or 2 sessions and then be like, great.
I've learned enough.
Yep.
My Psych 101 class and 2 sessions of therapy mean that I know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I beat therapy. I won therapy. Someone
Yes,
said that to
I'm
me
the
one time.
best.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think so. I don't think you understand what therapy means.
Yeah. I actually gave you negative points today. So,
You did not get the gold star.
yep. My
Sorry.
2 o'clock was actually better than you. That's not how I think. But yeah. Anyway, that was really good. We should do it again sometime.
Yeah. I don't think I'll do it the next time I'm Yapper number 1, but
Mhm. Someday.
bonus content or something maybe.
Yeah.
Go through some more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people have suggestions
Yes.
of some psychobabble therapy speak that you've heard that you want to know more about, let us know
yeah.
and we can talk about it.
Yeah. What kind of therapy language annoys you to hear in everyday conversation?
Yeah.
And how has it affected you in your life?
Or if some kind of psychotherapy term pops up that you've not heard of before and you think people are not using it correctly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what's something that you hear a lot that maybe you're like, is this accurate? Or are they interpreting it correctly? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's so much more. I kept thinking of more and more words.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we should definitely talk about boundaries one of these days.
yeah.
And what
Some
is
of
a
these are
boundary.
definitely full episodes worth
Yeah.
of content.
And we have an episode on boundaries out there,
Mhm.
but we can always do more because boundaries are important
Yes.
and they are often misunderstood.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll deep dive it.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, words.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, keep us in your feed because we have more exciting things coming up. If you want to
Yes.
learn more about communication, make sure you're following so you don't miss it. If you want to see more guests, make sure you're following because they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some good ones.
Yes.
Important people.
We've got a wide variety of
Mhm.
guests.
Yes.
So that'll be fun.
Yes. So don't miss out. Make sure you're following and have a wonderful week. Goodbye.
Bye.